Happy Monday, how are you?
I am fine, how are you?
I'm good. If you hear noises of little people, just know it's a holiday.
No, we don't live alone, we live with many humans. So, everyone needs their space, so we are just sharing space.
Yeah, the best way we can. Okay, so today we are reviewing Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Lori Gottlieb.
I'm certain she pronounces it much better.
Okay, when I pronounce it,
I'm not saying we're wrong.
oh yeah,
I'm sure she does it much differently.
yeah, true. Okay, so this is a book about, it's a memoir. So the therapist is taking us through her, like the what happens in the backstage
Of being a therapist. She takes us on her journey on being on both sides of the therapy chair, where she's either the patient or she's a therapist.
Yeah.
So Barry, therapist, or Barry, the best-selling book that reveals what your therapist is really thinking. And I think I agree with the statement. So Barry therapist Lori Gottlieb takes us behind the scenes of her practice, where her patients are looking for answers, and so is she. She recounts her experiences with her own therapist Wendell and explores the inner lives of her patients. One being a self-absorbed Hollywood producer, a young newlywed with a terminal illness, a depressed senior citizen, and a self-destructive 20-something. Realizing that the questions that they are struggling with realizing that the questions they are struggling with are often the same questions she is asking herself, and so are many of us. It's so relatable. So, but maybe you should talk to someone offers a rare and candid insight into a profession that is conventionally bound with rules and secrecy.
I really like this book, I must say. Even though I must say that there are parts that trigger you, but it's also like a book that you can absorb and reflect, because it challenges you also to want, you learn a lot about yourself as you also learning about the patient, and other things.
It has a lot of aha moments. Whenever there are aha moments, it has a lot of those aha moments where you're like, ish, where you recognize some of your own behaviors or some of your own thinking. Like it's somewhat very relatable, but not in a way that is depressing. In a way that gives you comfort to say, you know what, you're human. It's okay that you have these behaviors. It's okay that you feel this way.
So it kind of gives you permission to feel like that.
Yes, it does.
So I really liked it. Yeah, I really liked it.
When you explain it, it's like someone is giving you a warm hug.
Yeah.
And I related to that when I saw you put it up there. I was like, actually, this is what it is. You're sitting Sunday and you're talking and you're having wholesome, meaningful conversations with someone that you trust, who is wise and knowledgeable. It's a lovely book.
It is a lovely book. So I'm just gonna dive right in. Page 13. Okay. On page 13, and also open page 63.
Oh.
Because these two, I realized they are somewhat relatable.
Related.
So yeah.
13 and 63.
Yeah.
Okay.
More, even when, second paragraph, you tired.
Yeah.
And then even when, the second line from there.
Okay, continue. I'll find it.
Okay, even when we aren't exhausted, sitting in silence together feels peaceful, relaxing. But if silence can be heard, tonight's silence sounds different. If you ever been in love, you know the kind of silence I'm talking about. Silence on a frequency only your significant other can perceive. So let's go to 63. Okay. Then go 63. I think this is now the part where she was going to therapy, and this is when she was sitting with Wendell or something along those lines. it's the third paragraph, more earlier, and then you go down a little bit.
Yeah.
More, I told myself, okay, I told myself it meant nothing that he seemed irritated by kids in public spaces. That he'd happily run errands for us rather than attend to my son's basketball games. That he said it was more important to his ex-wife than to him to have children when they were having fertility problems. And that his brother and sister-in-law stayed in a hotel when they came to visit because boyfriend didn't want the commotion of their 3 kids in his house. And yet, neither he nor I had ever discussed our feelings about children directly. I figured he's a dad, he likes kids. So, the reason why I'm going back to this and to this is because sometimes the red flags are there, but we miss them because it's nice. Like, the flow, you just don't want to mess up the whole frequency.
Because now what if I confirm he doesn't like kids?
And then what?
And then what?
And
so
then
you'd
it's
rather
like-
not know.
Yeah, so it happens a lot because of sometimes I think this also like your other, maybe your relationships or your friendships or like especially ones that went wrong. Then you're like, but this person has always been
This is sensitive.
yeah,
You make them what you want them to be.
yes, because of her namotalosa komatomo. It didn't make sense to me like boyfriend could do what he did. And then only when she went to therapy and then she was now truthful with herself, she was being honest with herself. Actually, yeah.
And then also again,
Yeah.
it's painful.
So these were like my favorite parts. What were yours?
Before we come favorite part, like what this is another boyfriend. Come on. I don't want to lie to you. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
I kept asking people those questions. Like, I'll be like sitting with somebody and I'm like, let me give you a scenario. Like, and then after mind, what would you say? And everybody will be like, wrong boyfriend.
And that's what Lord also wanted. Like she wanted people to validate and call the boyfriend the asshole, call him all sorts of names.
But then also that's what there's this other book that I read. You know this thing, where sometimes when you tell like your friends, it's like I think we do that a lot with our friends. When I tell you, yo, mama, what this is, I want you to say why I one time I want you
to validate you.
to validate me, to say wrong, how nasa family so, you know. And then you get those friends by long for solution. Guys, solution you just want to vent, you just want to talk. And then I think also knowing sometimes like asking, what do you need?
But sometimes we don't always know. But I think if we practice to say it up front, friend, right now I just want to be miserable. I just want to vent. And then we vent. And then at some point we need to call it quits. Then we need to move on to solutions because our
because of Lola. Oh no, but that's another book. I think it's
which one? Which one are you thinking about now?
No, now like I don't know which book it is, but then it's no because of now I might be reviewing a different book.
But it's fine. That's the thing. That's the beauty about immersing yourself in reading and reading different genres and reading different books by different authors. You get to realize the things you struggle with are really universal. They are not unique to you. And I'm not saying this to take away anything. I'm just saying just to make that link that you just made man, someone wrote about this or someone made an example about this in another book. All these books, somehow there's going to be 1 or 2 lessons or 1 or 2 themes that are explored that you've read about somewhere.
True.
That one, I got favorite part.
It was probably the same book. But I know. Let me just see. No, but no, it's not. It's not fun.
I just enjoyed this quote with
Which one?
261.
261. Okay, you can read. I'll find it.
And if we create the space and put in the time, we stumble upon stories that are worth waiting for, the ones that define our lives.
Say it again.
If we create the space and put in the time, we stumble upon stories that are worth waiting for,
That's true.
the ones that define our lives.
That's true.
And that's just it takes me back to one of the characters, Kemang, the one with cancer, Julie. Julie is suffering from a terminal illness, and yet she lives a life with so much awareness and so much intent that it's just beautiful to watch. It makes you think, we're not only healthy. What are you doing?
Exactly. Like, what's your excuse? I also loved her. I love Julie, and I love that. They all got their healing in a way, in their own way. They got their healing because of. I understand that even though you seeking your own healing, but then there are other people by you hurt maybe along the way. Other people that maybe you want forgiveness or from, and then forgiveness is and whether you know, you have to find a way to move on with your life. I mean, for instance, Rita, they feel like overfades as a mom, which to some extent is true. Which to some extent is true. But she was also going through what she was going through. But then, as I always say, like, how like, la marhuna le mo elong hore like ro tlhoka hore bathong o be leader o ka se le ralla lwena like ra utlwela botlhoko ka mongwana like there must be a way to say my bra.
But we must practice some compassion.
We do practice compassion.
That's why you and I have always
I know
on being on opposite sides about this, because I'm a firm believer we parent as we are trying to figure ourselves out.
And
as
I get that, and I believe that. But Kiran, I don't want like Muthansare. Nake hudile so ke guys hudile so then unya go hudisa nna ko unya wa utlwa hape mothatha mara nna ke hudile so wa acknowledge hore it was not actually the right way. But then that's what I know. Okay, unya go easy better. Don't you want to know better now? Know better now and do better now. How do you
okay, man. I think 407? Yes. Yes. Fast.
407.
Ne. Okay. Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith and experience something before its meaning becomes apparent. Ne? So that's just one. And then this one that I'm going to read now ties into what we're talking about now.
Okay.
It's one thing to talk about leaving behind a restrictive mindset. It's another to being so restrictive. I get.
Okay, it's another to stop being so restrictive.
So it's one thing to say so and want to do better, and then it's one thing to actually do better.
It is, but then it's as long as you can acknowledge where the problem lies, you are well on your way.
You are.
Yeah. Look at Toto, Marabona, Vira. Such a ground to Torbora. Yeah.
But Rita chose a struggle.
Yeah, Rita chose a struggle.
Her struggle was either leave her marriage or her choices were either stay in her marriage or leave and live in poverty.
Yeah.
And she decided to cry on her satin sheets.
Like most people would do. And I think in her mind, she was doing it for the kids. You know, because of her struggling when I sell full one. And then you're thinking, well, this man is giving us the life. He's giving the children. Mara, you are. Guys, what better?
Mara why some didi kind.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Management.
Yeah, but I suppose it's more a mental thing because
And then when it's abusive, it starts in the mind. So it's mafelong. You start believing or like so even if unale matla wa bona mara motho enga mo pusha pila aka petana le mafestere dilo tsotlhe, but your mind is keeping you captive for you tlampolai. Yeah, but then it's a very interesting read. I loved it. Wait, you can give me the joke. I also love
flow. It's not a difficult read at all.
It's not. I also love page 336. But then before I wrote 336, wasn't this book the one where they mentioned something about like they want to be held? I couldn't find it, but I think I've read it somewhere.
But they want to be held, and then
newborns can die from not being held or ill. Okay, that's one.
I think
really?
So. Where they're talking about if you deprive a child like newborns of that love and attention.
Yeah.
I think they were describing a scene like where kids are left maybe because I don't enough resources. The kids would cry and then eventually they would stop crying. Is that the scene that you're remembering? They would stop crying like and then at some point they just don't cry anymore because no one is coming.
Yeah. And then I think in life also, like that's how you.
There's a term for it. Yeah. I just forget it now, but I think it's what happened to you.
Okay, I thought it was this book. But anyway, I also liked this one more. 336. More. There's no hierarchy of pain. Suffering shouldn't be ranked because pain is not a contest. Spouses often forget this, upping the ante of the suffering. I had kids all day. My job is more demanding than yours. I'm lonelier than you. Whose pain wins or loses? But pain is pain.
Pain is pain.
Pain is pain, and most of the time, because if you feel like
but I don't think we do it intentionally.
Yeah, we don't.
I think it takes a lot of effort to realize what you're doing in that moment. Because often what we do is when I come to you and share my pain with you, people are more inclined to share a greater story than the one that I'm telling.
Yes.
Almost as if to say, yo, it could be worse.
Yeah,
and it doesn't
but
take away from the pain that you are experiencing. And sometimes what that does is we deny the person the opportunity to explore their pain because we've toned it down by saying,
well,
there's worse. Yeah, there's worse. So it's I think it's just creating that awareness to stop ourselves in the act when you realize no, we are trying to someone else, and sometimes it's not even malicious. It's
and sometimes it's not even like you always say misery
loves company.
Yeah, I think like you always say sometimes or something, it reminds you of your own problems or your own situation, even though it's not related. Mara, like somehow you feel like you're connect, comfort,
and then next thing he'll comfort and we've forgotten. Like we've taken away from yours because we're not your problem, and then I've shared my greater problem with you. I've said yo Linna, but then in saying Linna, I've shared a bigger problem. So now because my problem is bigger, I'll focus more. Now we're exploring mine. When at the end you're going to be very unfulfilled, like our quite so far at all because our board.
So what are you rating this book?
What about Holland? You can't review this book and not talk about Holland.
Let's talk about Holland.
Yeah. I'm trying to find chapter 12. And 74. Why we should be digital? Give it such a Holland. Actually, page 74.
Okay. So explain Holland.
Oh my goodness. Where is the poem about Holland? Should I miss it?
Check it.
Hello,
When you're going to have a baby, it's like
yes, I think so.
Yeah, go. Welcome to Holland.
Anyway, Holland is a beautiful concept. It's I think it's a poem, but it was written by Emily Pearl Kingsley, ne? The parent of a child with Down syndrome. It's about the experience of having your life's expectations turned upside down. Maybe I should just read it.
No, just like summarize.
So welcome to Holland. When you've had expectations, you've imagined your life like this. You were going to
have this.
What's the other place? I guess it's Holland, and then you missed your flight, and then you were supposed to go where?
No, you were not going to Holland.
You're not going to Holland. What's the place that you were going to? They're very close.
Italy.
No.
Yeah. You're like, I get more out of it.
Okay.
What do you mean Holland? I signed up for Italy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're supposed to be going to Italy.
Yeah.
And now you end up in Holland.
It works in any situation. You're concerned. Okay, you can continue.
Where you've had your expectations, you've had your destination plan, your dreams, everything. You had it all set out. Or next thing you're not where you were supposed to be. You are now somewhere else. And in that somewhere else, you now, in this case it's Holland. You were supposed to be Italy, now you're in Holland. Now you are forced to either decide, are you going to spend your time here in Holland being regretful, or I was supposed to be in Italy, or are you going to accept where you are and try and smell the roses where you are, basically look around you and find the things that will find you joy in Holland.
It's a very beautiful concept if you think about it, because of most of the time we like present in the moment because of we feel like busy she, like it's always this mentality over it, like something is missing because of you're not where you want to be. But then because you are here, enjoy here while you are working for there.
You can still go, because sometimes it's possible to end up in Italy.
Yes.
But in other cases, like with this lady who was hoping for a healthy baby and ended up with a child with Down syndrome, she cannot get her Italy back. Maybe with her second pregnancy, but it still won't be that child. So she then has to make the most of her current situation. So you can still reroute back to Italy, but being in that moment and accepting it, or accept horror.
And even like with Julie, who had cancer, it's like she wanted to have a baby. She just got married, and then now this a friend sends her this
yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah,
and it made her angry.
Because of she's like, but then what do you mean others accept this? I don't want this. Who wants cancer? But then Mama Felong, she realizes that her friend was not being malicious. She was just saying, you did not want this. You did not plan for this. But while you're here
you are.
Make the most of it.
Are you going to spend your time left in misery and fighting this thing that you have, or are you going to try and live a meaningful life and leave some legacy and some memories behind?
And in the end, she did actually
embrace.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Rita
yana.
Banyak boleh Rita.
Uranya kibat kalau. Okay.
Right.
So yes, Rita.
Rita Man lived a very lonesome life after her kids. She was estranged from his kids because they resent her again. Oh man, when she said she still goes for her pedicures because that's the only human contact that she has.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so sad.
But then you see, I think maybe that's the part that I was talking about.
Yeah, Bana.
Yeah, man, they mentioned it. Keep like reality.
Yan ba tayo?
But then I also loved Rita. Like I love that she owned up to how she got where she got. You know, she didn't blame everything over So I love that.
But she constantly used the same tissue. Like there was a fresh box of tissues there, but still obviously, and that's, I think those are the little signs that you can tell that say a lot about a person. Who she probably doesn't deserve that she probably doesn't think that she deserves a new clean tissue.
Yeah, something like you don't deserve good things.
It's so sad.
You don't deserve a clean slate. You don't deserve to start over. When we don't know the past,
and it gives you permission to be like, you know what? Yes, my life wasn't so great, but then I still deserve some happiness. I still deserve some joy, and she got her joy.
She did.
Yes. But yeah, it's a book worth reading.
I agree.
How much are you rating it?
5 out of 5.
I'm glad this one gets a 5. I also gave it a 5.
I mean,
it's like 4.5.
No, but I always give them 5 out of 5. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye.